Hi, everyone. I wanted to share some settings that I'm experimenting with for the Icom IC-7300, and I decided I would make a video about it and share my summary looking through the online user manual that I've downloaded for the 7300, and then a quick summary page that I have. Now, these settings are what I am looking forward to trying out with some of my next QSOs. However, bear in mind that there are a variety of other adjustments besides what I am encouraging here in this video. So don't feel like I am saying, oh, you have to do it this way or this way is always better. No, absolutely not. The settings are there to be adjusted and played with, and that's part of being a ham radio operator. You try adjusting different things and see what results you get, right? Okay, let's see about sharing my screen so I can show you what I've been looking through. Okay, let's share that screen there. And we're going to go ahead and share the screen. Okay, perfect. All right, so I've got the preamplifiers section up under receiving and transmitting in the manual. And I'm going to be focusing on the notes. These notes are here for a reason. So, note number one is when you use the preamp while receiving strong signals, the signal may be distorted. In such case, turn off the preamp. So, this stream is primarily about how to avoid distortion, especially with receiving, but also with transmitting, covered at the end. So, the key is for the preamplifier, there may be some distortion that's caused when you're using preamp 1 or 2. And so I'm going to try avoiding using the preamplifier unless I really need it. Now, that may seem like, hey, of course, common sense, but it's just one of those things that you may not immediately think of when you're in the middle of a QSO that could be causing some distortion with your received signal. All right, let's go to the next one. That's the AGC function. For the AGC function, it's not so much about distortion as it is about missing out on some good signals. So note, when you are receiving weak signals and a strong signal is momentarily received, the AGC function quickly reduces the receiver gain. When that signal disappears, the transceiver may not receive the weak signal because of the AGC action. In that case, select fast or touch AGC for 1 second to open the AGC screen and then select off for the time constant setting. So in other words, this isn't about distortion. This is about completely missing certain signals or parts of the transmission from those weaker signals. And so be aware of that when you are listening. You may be missing something that you could totally hear otherwise. So when you're trying to reach that faint DX station, you may not be able to hear them, but they can hear you if you have the AGC set to the wrong level. So I believe I've experienced that. So I would definitely recommend being careful with your AGC, and I'm looking forward to trying it with it completely off for the next few QSOs at least. Now I'm going to essentially skip past the twin passband tuning and the filter adjustments, but those can definitely, obviously, as I would think you all know, make a big difference in how distorted a signal sounds or whether you even hear a certain signal at all that you're trying to listen to. But I'm going to go down to the IP plus function. That's the intercept point. And I'm going to point out something here for this intercept point. So you want to select on for IP plus to prioritize the IP or intercept point quality and select off to prioritize the receive sensitivity. So again, if you're trying to receive that really weak station, you may want to have the IP plus turned off. Otherwise, you may not be able to hear it as well because the sensitivity will not be at its best for your receiver. Continuing down to the noise blanker. When using the noise blanker, received signals may be, there's that word again, distorted if they are excessively strong or the noise is other than a pulse type. In that case, turn off the noise blanker or shallow the depth on the noise blanker menu. See the description below for details. I'm not going to go over all these details, but just know that the noise blanker can, for certain circumstances, actually cause distortion. For the noise reduction, be aware that you want to adjust it to where noise is reduced and the received signal is not distorted. So that, in essence, is telling you that the noise reduction can also cause a distorted signal. So be aware of that. If you're still getting distortion and you've adjusted all these other settings and then some, make sure your noise reduction is not turned up to too high of a level. Okay, let's continue on down. The last one I'm going to focus on is for your transmitted signal. And I would think we all have heard someone on the air who has had a distorted signal for their transmit audio. So with that, be aware that you want to make sure that your compressor is not turned up too high, because when the comp meter peaks exceed the comp zone, your transmitted voice may be distorted. So here's my summary page that I've created for my own reference and also for this video for your reference. So starting with the preamp, note when you use the preamp while receiving strong signals, the signal may be distorted. In such case, turn off the preamp. AGC, note when you are receiving weak signals and a strong signal is momentarily received, the AGC function quickly reduces the receiver gain. When that signal disappears, the transceiver may not receive the weak signal because of the AGC action. In that case, select Fast or touch AGC for 1 second to open the AGC screen and then select Off within the time constant setting. IP Plus, select On to prioritize the IP quality and select Off to prioritize the receive sensitivity. Noise blanker, note when using the noise blanker, received signals may be distorted if they are excessively strong or the noise is other than a pulse type. In that case, turn off the noise blanker or shallow the depth on the noise blanker menu. Noise reduction, adjust the noise reduction level to where noise is reduced and the received signal is not distorted. Speech compressor, when the comp meter peaks exceed the comp zone, your transmitted voice may be distorted. Okay, let's go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Thank you everyone for taking a moment to check out this video. I hope you've learned at least one thing from those points that I made for how to get the greatest sensitivity for your receiver, the least amount of received distortion, and to reduce or eliminate any distortion for your transmitted signal. Again, this is not fully comprehensive for every possible setting, nor is it fully covering every different adjustment within those settings that I did address. So I just want to toss these out there as food for thought. Hope it helps you all out, and thanks for viewing. This is Jared, AC7WH 73.